a lot of news going on in Jiu-Jitsu at the moment. There's some other things worth talking about, and one of those is the recent development, the announcement of 3 black belts joining Atos. Okay, so Andre Galvão and those guys are picking up even more talent to already what is one of the deepest squads in Jiu-Jitsu. So you've got Gustavo Batista, nicknamed Braguinha, Luisa Montero, I think she's possibly a 5-time world champion, but ridiculously credentialed black belt, and Rafael Vasconcelos. And it's interesting to note that the 3 of those guys all left Leandro Lo's Brotherhood team in Sao Paulo to join with Andre Galvão, who is obviously based in San Diego, California. So exactly the motivations for those, I mean, we've just, we asked, and people generally don't like to talk about why they're leaving one team and joining another. We get the standard responses. Of course, they're looking for the best training opportunities, the example that those guys set and the depth of talent and the opportunities that will present. But let's talk about the team team switching thing. I mean, this is something of a divisive topic in Jiu-Jitsu because, let's be honest, people don't like it when people switch teams, right?
No one wants to be called a crianche, it's a bad thing to be.
There's a huge stigma against it, right?
But as Jiu-Jitsu professionalizes itself, you're going to want the best training. You're going to want to live in the place that's most conducive to a healthy lifestyle. And maybe getting into San Diego is a goal for many athletes. So I'm all for it. I think if you see an opportunity to join an excellent squad, there's a spot for you and they're welcoming, you don't have to be rude to your old team, but do what's best for you. You're pursuing your own career.
What about this, Will? What about now if one of those guys, be it Rafael Vasconcelos or Gustavo Batista, what do you think happens when they end up on the opposite side of the mat from one of their former teammates? What do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, you're in a tough situation when you switch teams, but sometimes we have seen teammates on the opposite sides of the bracket and they fight each other. Jiu-Jitsu is very much an individual sport, right? So there's been many guys who switch teams throughout the history of Jiu-Jitsu, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you're remembered by your name, right? You're of course Alliance and these big schools, they're remembered, but the greats in Jiu-Jitsu are remembered by your name. And I look at it similar to like a LeBron James who wants to win. He is a champion through and through. I think Jiu-Jitsu has some of the most competitive guys in the world, competitive athletes in the world, and they want to win. So you want to surround yourself with people who have a similar mindset, similar goals, who are going to test you, push you in the gym. So agreeing with Chase here, I think it comes down to aligning yourself for success. And I do agree with the fact that there seems to be more opportunity, especially in the competition scene within the United States. So coming to the U.S., and if your team is not established here in the U.S., you may not have an option, to stay with your team. So
there's got to be a right way to do it, though. You don't just cut ties, leave in the middle of the night. I mean, be upfront about your goals and ambitions, and hopefully you're supported. If not, then you did what you could, and you leave on good terms.
And let's take a look at how that applies to Atos as well, because you've got 3 big name black belts. Gustavo Batista, of course, he won Europeans 3 years in a row at 3 different belt colors. He won, blue, purple, brown in 3 consecutive years, and just got his black belt last year. So, I mean, he's obviously a super hot talent competing in and around the heavyweight, medium heavyweight division, depending on the level of the tournament. It's not like Atos were hurting for middle heavyweight, high-level black belts, right? So who else you got there? You got, Hulk. You got Keenan. You got guys kind of right on the cusp of that as well, like guys like Don Bell will be coming through from brown belt to compete at black belt soon.
Mike
Hinger
Perez
is floating around. Mike Perez. So are Atos just loading up the brackets as much as they can? Is that what it's about? Are they just like, man, we're going to stack it with as many guys as we got in, so that we just dominate the podium?
I don't know if that's the case. I think it is a case of people someone who's coming in is trying to better their position, but also Atos wants to surround themselves with the best athletes out there. So if you're playing the same games constantly, Keenan's constantly playing Hulk and Hinger, you're not seeing new looks, that could be something too. They want to bring in some new, fresh, young talent who's going to challenge them so they maintain. Last year was the first year Atos won the World Championship as a team, right? So you got to keep your foot on the gas now. You got to keep that level of intensity and competition high so you can maintain that.
Well,
that route.
the one thing we have seen with Atos as well is that, you know, they're an international team, but their centers of power are really concentrated, right? Southern California, it's kind of spread out a little bit in Brazil, you know, spread out in Europe, but is this a move to consolidate power further in their HQ, or is this maybe a move to bring in guys and then to spread that out, you know? So let's see where it goes. But the team switching thing is interesting, and as I said, a bit of a divisive topic. It definitely riles some people up. Some people are super against it. Some people aren't. I mean, Andre Galvao is a perfect example himself, that he actually passed through many teams and, you know, on his journey before setting up his own.